I gather that you've chosen this year to get into running and start your running journey. And this video is literally to help kickstart your journey and help you become a runner. So as a little backstory, I chose 2024 as my year to get into running. Now I basically decided this because I realized that my heart health and my cardiovascular fitness was literally abysmal. Like I couldn't probably run 100 meters without dying and like feeling like I was gonna hyperventilate and literally pass out. I was so unfit. I was strong, I was good in the gym, but my actual heart health and my cardiovascular fitness, literally like negative 100. It was so bad. And so I figured that I needed to do something to improve my heart health and my cardiovascular fitness. And I knew that running was just gonna be the route that I would have to go down in order to get there. So in 2024, I went from literally never running at all to completing a half marathon in just 5 months. And I've now gone on to sign up for a triathlon and a full marathon this year. So I really feel like I've got a good journey in this like short period of time that I've been running. And I really want to pass on all the tips if you're looking to get into runnings, and hopefully some of these will help you get started. Now, sometimes I think we can actually be our own worst enemies like 99% of the time. And I think as humans, we get into our heads and we think, oh, I can't do this. No way, I can't do that. That I'm not a runner, I won't be able to do this. And those are definitely some of the thoughts that I had in my brain in the years leading up to 2024 when I was like, no, there's no way. I had basically had a few injuries when I was younger. I'd injured my ankles and I was like, oh, I'm never going to be able to run. I'm okay with that. I'm fine not being a runner. But really, actually, once I started, I realized that I was just kind of making up excuses and procrastinating as to why I couldn't do all of these things when really, actually, I could. So my first tip is really just to get started straight away. Don't let your brain try to fool you into thinking that you can't do this, because you can. It will be a journey. You might not be very good at the beginning. You might not enjoy it at the beginning, but honestly, you just have to get started, because otherwise, how are you ever going to become a runner if we don't just put ourselves out there and get started? Now, one thing I love to live by, not just with exercise, but actually in a lot of aspects of my life, is the 5-second rule. And this is basically like a theory. I don't know if Mel Robbins created this. I think she might have created it, but I'm not 100% sure. But essentially what the 5-second rule is, before you even let your brain try to talk you out of doing something, you just count down 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and you get up and go do that thing. I use this in so many aspects of my life, from getting out of bed in the morning to putting away laundry, like whatever it is, I just do the 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and then I have to do it. And that way your brain doesn't even have a chance to try and fight with yourself about not wanting to do something. I think one of the biggest hurdles that people have to overcome when it comes to getting started with running is starting slow. I think one of the main reasons that a lot of people end up thinking they can't run or thinking they're not very good at running is because we try and bolt as fast as we can, as if we're literally like running a race in our first run. And of course, if you're new to running, you're going to get out of breath in like 10 seconds, and then you're going to think, no, I can't do this. So we've got to start slow and steady. And when I say slow and steady, I literally mean like tortoise pace slowly. That is the way that you're going to actually get out there, build your confidence up a little bit as well, because of course confidence comes into play when you're starting something new for the first time. And really just remember that you just need to focus on you. You don't need to think about the people around you. Let's be real. Everybody else around you, if they're running, if they're just out and about, if they're in the gym, whatever it is, they're too focused on themselves. They don't really care about what you're doing. You just need to think about you. Don't worry about your pace, just do slow and steady, and that's how we're going to get started off. Now, talking about just focusing on ourselves and taking it slow and steady, one of the key tips I think I would have for a beginner is you don't have to run solidly. If you want to go out and let's just say we're just starting to do 500 meters or a kilometer or whichever distance you want to start with, you could literally run 100 meters, walk 100 meters, whatever works for you. There is no shame at all in walking during your runs. I still sometimes walk now in my runs if I just like need a minute for myself. Like that is so fun. And again, no one around you is going to be watching you and judging you. So just if you need that time, take it. If you want to stop, do that. When you get started, I think it's important to know why you're running. And a lot of people, obviously, they get runner's high, it's good for their mental health, like all of these lovely side effects. Me personally, I don't get any of those benefits. I'm not gonna lie to you guys, I am like a year and just over a year into my running journey now, and I still don't like to run. I actually don't like running at all, but I've stuck at it for a whole year, and my why for doing that is to improve my heart health. So I think you need to find your why as to why you're looking to do that, and whatever your reason might be, it'll be so personal to you, but you just need to remember that every time that you're putting yourself out there and going for those runs. Another tip for getting started as a beginner is finding out what you enjoy listening to or doing whilst on your runs. And I think this is a key thing. For me, I don't like listening to music. I know that that's like a lot of people's main thing when they go running, is they like to put on like high beat music and that will help push them through. For me, I get so bored, and every time a song is up, I'm like, okay, that's only 3 minutes. So I personally like to listen to a podcast or an audio book, or if I'm in the gym and I'm on the treadmill, then even just like sticking a show on, and then it just distracts your mind and it's just something else that you enjoy doing, and it's almost like habit stacking, right? So you think, okay, well, I get to listen to my podcast, I get to listen to my book, or if you are a music person, I get to listen to my favorite CD or album or whatever, and I'm gonna go outside and run. So it's kind of like habit stacking and getting those positive things lined up together. Now, as with starting anything, we want to make sure we're being safe and we're being sensible and we're not pushing our bodies to extremes straight away. Now, running and your running journey and building up your fitness takes time. Trust me, I feel like it took months and months to even notice really like a difference in my fitness. And I don't want to let that dissuade you from getting started, but it's just a reality of the situation. So don't beat yourself up if after 1 or 2 runs you haven't noticed any difference, because it does just take time. And talking about being safe and sensible, we want to make sure that we're warming up and cooling down for every single run. We do not want to get injured. The last thing you want on your running journey when you're just getting started is to have something that's going to set you back. So make sure you warm up and cool down. What I actually kind of like to do sometimes is I'll go on to Instagram Reels or TikTok or YouTube even, and I'll just find I'll just find a warm up or a cool down video, and I'll just literally watch the video and do it at the same time. That way you know that you're following something and you're not just being like, oh, I'll just do a couple of these and then just not doing it. So we want to make sure we do not get injured. Another way to try and make sure we're avoiding injury is coming back to running slow and steady. Don't start just sprinting out the door. We need to get our bodies used to this exercise. And especially if you've never ran before, or if you've never really done any form of exercise before, our heart, our body, our muscles, like everything needs to adapt to learn this new thing that we're doing. To aid in ensuring that we don't get injured, a key thing that a lot of people recommend doing is strength training. So making sure you've got muscle built up in your legs, your glutes, making sure you're stretching out your hip flexors, like all of those parts of your body that you're using when you're running. We want to make sure that they have enough muscle and that they're strong enough to sustain this type of exercise. So definitely worthwhile having a look at the gym or talking to a personal trainer or somebody that's like actually probably qualified in this field to finding out what sort of exercises would be best for you. And the last thing I want to talk about in this category is taking rest days when you need them, especially in like your first week or 2. Like I said, your body is going to be adapted to this new stress and this new pressure that you're adding to it. So your body might feel tired, your muscles might feel tired, and you just need to listen to your body and take rest days. There is absolutely nothing wrong with a rest day, and actually rest days are so essential in making sure that your body can recover properly. Now, along with not just rushing out the door and trying to get things done as quickly as possible, we also want to be mindful of our distances. So if the furthest you've ever run is 2 kilometers, the next week you don't want to just go out and run 10 kilometers, because that is literally asking for injury. You need to work up to those distances. Most coaches and running people basically say that you should only add 10% each time. So if you ran 2 kilometers one day, then the next run you should only do a maximum of 2.2. So just be mindful of that too. Now, once you've started running, then what we want to focus on is consistency. And I'm sure you've had this in multiple aspects of your life before, but consistency is king, especially with running. You need to continue to work on your running, continue to work on your aerobic capacity, continue to work on your VO2 max, in order to keep progressing and make running feel easier. And once running becomes easier, once your fitness levels improve, that's usually when people start to actually enjoy running a bit more. So you do have to kind of suck it up and stick it out when it's hard at the beginning, but it will get easier, and hopefully as it gets easier, you'll start to enjoy the process a bit more. Now, everybody will have different motivations that will help them stay consistent. For me personally, I threw myself straight into the deep end and I just signed up to a half marathon race. So I did this pretty much before I'd ever done any running. I was like, I want to run a half marathon. I signed up, and then I was like, okay, now I actually have to do the training to get me there. And I knew whilst doing this training block that I had to do every single run. Otherwise, when it came to half marathon day, I would be hating my life and I would not be having any fun at all. For me personally, that's what works, but you just need to find your motivation. So whether that's signing up to a race, whether that's getting a friend or a partner or somebody that you care about to also start this running journey with you, whether it's joining a run club so you've got other people to go run with, you just need to find your motivation and something that will help you stay consistent. Now, when I talk about training plans and staying consistent, the best thing to do is to get a training plan set up for you. Now, there's tons of places that you can get training plans. For me personally, I just Googled, to be honest with you, half marathon, couch to half marathon training plans, and that's how I found one. Now, there's tons of places that you can actually just get plans for free. I know the Nike app has them. If you are willing to pay, there's apps like Runner, but you know, for me personally, I just feel like there's so much information out there on the internet that a free plan was just sufficient for me. So you know, just do your research and find one that works for you. I also then found it really helpful to use Strava to track all of my runs, especially once you have friends that are also running, because you can all have each other on Strava, you can see each other's activities, and that also kind of helps motivate you to stay consistent. And it also means that you can go back in time and look at all of the runs that you've done and sort of see your progress as you get better, as you've been staying consistent. Now, I wanted to talk about things that you would need to get started with running. And one of the great things about running is a lot of the stuff that you would need, you probably already have in your house. So workout clothes and trainers. Now, in terms of trainers, if you can and if you're able to, then I would 100% recommend going to a shop where they analyze your gait and they will match trainers to your feet. This is really helpful in terms of avoiding injury, making running easier, making running feel more comfortable, and it's just good for you in the long run to have a pair of trainers that are just suited for your feet, especially once you start doing longer distances. However, that being said, it can be quite expensive to go get a pair of running trainers. The pair of trainers that I have, I think I spent like $200 or $300 on them, so they are not cheap. But the first 3 months of my running journey, I didn't want to invest in a pair of trainers because I thought, I don't know if I'm going to stick this out yet, so let's just see if I can work with what I have. And I did. For the first 3 months, I trained in a pair of Nike trainers that I'd had for literally like a couple of years already. They were $60 and they were fine for running for 3 months. And actually, to be honest with you, I still sometimes wear those trainers to run when I just fancy a break from my actual running trainers. So actually, you might have a lot of stuff to get started already in your house, which means that there's no reason to delay going out and just going on that first run. Now, of course, there's tons of other things that you can buy to assist you in your running journey. What I don't want you to fall into the trap of is thinking, oh, well, I can't start running until I have a belt or until I have a vest or until I have a heart rate monitor or whatever it is, because you're really just making excuses as to why you can't get started. And that is not what we want. Literally all you want is clothes that you can run in, shoes that you can run in. That is it. Everything else is just a bonus. Now, once you are ready to start buying any additional things, then really the main things I use that I've like actually paid for are a heart rate monitor. And I actually think that's it. My running trainers and a heart rate monitor. Those are the two things really that I think I paid for. Oh, actually the one other thing I paid for was shorts. And again, this is kind of just like personal to me, but I needed running shorts that my legs weren't going to chafe in. The final thing that I want to talk on in this video is fuel or food or whatever you want to call it. But once you start running, especially once you start covering long distances, you need to make sure you are fueling your body. Your body will struggle if you're not giving it the proper nutrients and the proper calories that it needs to sustain this type of running, which again could end up leading to injury when your body is overcompensating for lack of energy, or if you're trying to push through and not giving yourself any rest days. Anyway, I hope this video was useful for you. I know definitely some of these tips would have been helpful for me if I'd have known them when I started my running journey. And like I mentioned, I am doing a triathlon, which is actually now in like a few weeks' time. And I'm also doing a marathon in July of 2025. So if you are interested in following along on my fitness journey, make sure you hit the subscribe button and I will see you next week.